correct spelling is Leannntuggle. Again, Leannntuggle. There will be a time for questions. Questions are not going to happen until Mr. Secrets, the SAC, makes that announcement. At that time, it's only 10 minutes of questions. Once that 10 minutes is up, there will be no more questions. Any questions now? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Secrets.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. I'd like to start by introducing a few of the people that are up here that you haven't heard yet. The first would be Ms. Leanne Tuggle, whose name was just given. She is the sister of Doris Worrell. We have Sheriff Fred Cole of Coffee County and his Chief Deputy, Marcus Dunlap. To my left is Assistant District Attorney John Rumker, and to his left are some of the current agents from the GBI Region 4 Field Office in Douglas, Georgia. I'd like to start by stealing a quote from a former president. Sometimes slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt. Today, that slow, steady justice and that thunderbolt is to announce the arrest of John Worrell for the murder of his then wife, Doris Worrell. Doris was a loving mother to 3 children, a devoted daughter, an interior designer, a school teacher, a committed member of First Baptist Church in Douglas, Georgia. She was known as a loving and caring person by all who knew her. But that came to an end on September 20th, 2006, when Coffee County 911 received a call that Doris was shot and killed inside of John's Sports Park. We're presenting a picture taken by Robert Preston and his crew that day of John Worrell on the ground crying, where many believed he was a grieving husband and his wife a victim of a robbery gone wrong. He had the sympathy of many in the community because of this situation. And the theories began to emerge early in the investigation as to what happened to Doris. One lead indicated that this may have been retaliation by someone that John had banned from his business. This was investigated and found not to be true. Eventually, information was obtained that John and Doris were having marital issues. Part of these issues included John's inappropriate relationship with his then live-in nanny, Paula Yarberry. Because of this, John was concerned that if he divorced Doris, he would lose his children. And it's those thoughts that led him to begin recruiting someone to murder his wife. And that's what led us to September 20th, 2006, when he succeeded in that conspiracy. After Doris's murder, when John lost the sympathy of the community and the investigation began to highlight him, he did what murderers do. He ran. First, he went to Fernandina Beach, Florida, and then after a short time, he went to Costa Rica. Paula was sent to an immigration detention facility where she was eventually deported back to Venezuela because she did not have the appropriate paperwork. You're now seeing a picture that was taken from investigative reporting done by Crime Watch Daily. This shows John and Paula in Costa Rica together. Because shortly after being deported, Paula went to Costa Rica. And although they denied a relationship, there they were, living together, raising John and Doris's children as if they were their own. Now, in the early stages of the investigation, Glidden Rodriguez and Brandon Cage were arrested for conspiracy to commit the murder of Doris. As the investigation continued, it was determined that there was not enough to convict either person, so the charges were dropped. But the investigation did not stop. there were agents and investigators all over the county constantly running down leads and trying to pursue justice for this family. In recent years, law enforcement learned that John and Paula had ended their romantic relationship, and John had moved back to the United States, where some of his children attended college. It was also during this time that a new agent was assigned to this case as part of the regular GBI cold case review process. This agent did another deep dive into the investigation. And based on the information that we had built over the years, created what I like to call an investigative game plan. The GBI and the Coffee County Sheriff's Office then implemented this game plan, which included traveling to Costa Rica, where Paula eventually cooperated. Now, based on the firm foundation that was built by the initial agents who responded to the scene and the investigators from the Sheriff's Office who relentlessly worked this investigation, as well as additional information that was either learned, confirmed, or corroborated in recent years, and along with Paula's cooperation, investigators were able to obtain the following arrest warrants for John: felony murder, malice murder, aggravated battery, and conspiracy to commit murder. John was arrested by the GBI and the Coffee County Sheriff's Office on May 20th, 2025 in Maryville, Missouri, where he'd been residing in recent years. That same day, John waived extradition, and last night, he was returned to a cell in the Coffee County Jail. The GBI and the Coffee County Sheriff's Office are working together to complete their case file so that it can be turned over to the District Attorney's Office for review and prosecution. District Attorney Marilyn Bennett was unable to attend today due to a prior commitment. However, she asked that I read this statement on her behalf. This week's arrest marks a pivotal moment in the investigation into the death of Ms. Doris Worrell, and our office looks forward to working with our law enforcement partners, the GBI, and the Coffee County Sheriff's Office to bring closure to Ms. Worrell's family, this community, and in accordance with the Georgia law and the pursuit of justice. Sheriff Cole.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for being here. I'm Fred Cole, Sheriff of Coffee County, and as I stand before you today, I am filled with a mix of emotions: relief, gratitude, and yes, even sorrow. Relief that after nearly 2 decades, we are finally able to take the step toward justice. Gratitude for the unwavering dedication of our partners at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and our own investigators who refuse to let this case go cold. And sorrow because while we are here to announce a significant development, it serves as a reminder of the tragic and senseless loss of Doris Worrell, and for her children, who have not only lost their mother, but now has lost their father. I want to be clear, this case was never forgotten. And while the road has been long and often frustrating, we have never gave up. Justice delayed is still justice. And today we honor Doris and her loved ones with a long-awaited breakthrough. For years, this case had remained unresolved, a source of pain and frustration for many. But I also want to thank the steadfast leadership of my predecessor, Sheriff Doyle Wooten. His commitment to this case laid the groundwork for our investigators from the Coffee County Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to keep this case at the forefront. After nearly 19 years, their persistence has paid off. On Monday, May 19th, I, along with Special Agent Alex Julian of the GBI, traveled to Maryville, Missouri, where John Worrell was residing. Tuesday morning, May 20th, at approximately 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time, John was taken into custody without incident. This moment is a testament to the strength of teamwork and preservation and the belief that justice must always be pursued no matter how much time has passed. In closing, I also want everyone to understand this is not the only case our office, along with the GBI, is actively pursuing. And if you were involved in any of these heinous crimes, I want you to know this: we are coming. you can expect a knock on your door because justice will be served. And I'd also like to send a special thank you to our partners in Missouri. Master Sergeant Justin Johnson with the Missouri Highway Patrol, Sheriff Austin Hand and the Nottoway County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Bill Pewitt and the Buchanan County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Chris Britton and Investigator Ralph Wheeler with the Buchanan County Career Criminal Unit, and Investigator B.P. Miller and Sergeant Mark Wilhoit with Operation Relentless Pursuit, and Chief Mike Stoltze of the Maryville Police Department. Each of these agencies were instrumental in the arrest of Mr. Worrell, and I can't thank them enough. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to invite Leanne Tuggle, Miss Doris' sister, to come say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm going to have to read just a little bit because I had a little something done to my eye the other day and woke up to the news. I would like to thank the SAC Secrets for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And I would like to thank all of the members of the law enforcement who have worked diligently and tirelessly for the last 19 years on this case. And at times, people would come up to me and say, "What's going on? Anything going on? Is it just a cold case, just a dead case?" And I'm like, no, it's alive. They're working. So all of this work paid off Tuesday morning when John was arrested in Missouri. Sheriff Cole and your agents, I would like to thank you, if I haven't already just said that. The GBI and the Sheriff's Department have been wonderful, along with countless other people who have helped, who have said prayers, who have said encouraging words to me and family members over the years. You're just greatly appreciated. Next, I'd like to just try to tell you a little bit about my little sister, since she has not been here for nearly 20 years. She was my one and only sibling, born just after I turned 3 years old. And a funny story that some of you have heard before was when my aunts brought me home and let me watch her lying in her crib. I said, "How long are we going to keep her?" And Mama said, "Forever." And when she became my forever friend, I meant that was, we were true and forever. And she was my baby sister, and I was going to take care of her. We were very close through all of our lives. That doesn't mean we didn't have some sibling arguments, probably about clothes and the sharing of who's got which shirt and who's got which pair of pants, but nothing more than a little squabble here and there. I think that makes even better siblings. But I was the brunette. I was the one focused on serious things and learning about business and how it worked. She was the blonde. She was the cute one, the artsy one, the gymnastic one. Some of my cousins are sitting out in the audience, and they can attest that during her first years, she walked on her head more than she walked on her hands and stood on her head more than she walked on her feet. She could draw anything. I could hand her a picture or say, "Hey, can you draw me a picture of that flower that we saw a little while ago?" She'd just whip it right out. I'm like, "How do you do that? How do you have a talent and I don't?" But just wonderful. Another talent was she loved children. So she left Fort Valley, Georgia in 1985, went to the University of Georgia and received an interior design degree, came back to Fort Valley and worked at an interior decorator shop for several years. When she was engaged and she knew she would be moving to Douglas, she decided that probably rather than try to start a design shop by herself, she would become a teacher like our mother had been. And so she took a few classes at Mercer, earned her teaching degree, and taught elementary school for several years. Once she had at least 2 children, and the timeline gets a bit foggy because I was busy with my own life also. She stayed at home, and she was a full-time mom, and she loved being a mommy more than anything in this world. She was the perfect mommy. She stayed with him at home. She stayed with him at the family beach house in Florida. She babysat for other people's children. She continued helping at her church. She helped the children there. She wanted the little ones to know about Jesus. She wanted them to know how to draw. She probably even taught them how to turn a cartwheel or two somewhere along the way. But we were very close. We spoke every day on the phone, and the last time I spoke to her was the day before she was murdered. Let's see. I think I jotted down what I wanted to say, and I covered it mostly. She was a very kind person. Sometimes she was too kind for her own good. A great example is when she offered Paula a place to stay. Paula did not have a place to stay. She was by herself. She was about 14 or 15 years old, and my sister said, "Sure, you can stay on our sofa." Well, the nights on the sofa grew longer. She stayed longer. I don't know the total time that she stayed without looking it up. But her being kind is ultimately what caused her death. So I hate that about her. But she left with her the legacy of a Proverbs 31 woman. You know, she's clothed in strength and dignity, and she speaks wisely. And I reflected back on Mother's Day, which was just a couple of weeks ago, and I became quite teary-eyed because I thought, I've missed my mom for a while, and I've missed my sister for a long while, and I've missed her children. And that's hard to go from her being 39 to her being 57 now. And oh, she's missed her children growing up. She's missed my children. She's missed a lifetime of fun and a lifetime of happiness that wasn't hers to lose at that time. Someone else chose. And I've saved the part that's the nearest to my heart until the end. When Doris was murdered, she left behind 3 young children, 2 girls and a 3-year-old little boy. And we were used to spending lots and lots of time with them, maybe a time or 2 a month. But after her murder, we saw them off and on for 4 to 5 months. And after that, there was nothing. There was nothing. It was all shut down. I don't know, they were too young to make those decisions. So someone in charge made the decisions of no Facebook, no Instagram, no whatever the social media was before Facebook. There was none of that. No phone calls. Not even my mother got to speak to them. She died not knowing where they were. So we've not had any contact with them in all those years, since probably 5 to 6 months after Doris was killed. I call them children. I know they're adults, but we've missed out on their childhood. We've missed out on their high school graduations. We've missed out on their college graduations, watching them play sports. We've missed it all. And it's not just me. It's my children, it's my husband, it's the cousins in the family. It's the everyone. We miss them. And if any of you are watching today, I would like to say, please come home. You have a home with us. We will welcome you with open arms. We love you. We've always loved you. We've prayed for you. Others we know have prayed for you. And I know that you have not been able to know that information, so I'm telling it to you now. We love you. We want what's best for you. And we want you back. Thank you.
Wow. So many times in these cases, we get caught up in the offender. It's not often that we get to hear such an emotional story from the family of the victim, the lifetime lost, the relationships lost. Thank you, Leanne. I want to move on to the collaboration that occurred to get us here. I know that frequently these cold cases have been getting more and more attention through social media, through podcasts, and there's always questions raised. So let me tell you what it takes to solve a cold case. It's collaboration. It's collaboration between a local sheriff's office or a police department and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. When we work together, we develop a plan, and we follow that plan, we may not have instantaneous success, but we will have success. And going on that, I'd like to recognize a few people that were important in this investigation. I mentioned earlier the firm foundation of the initial agents and investigators that responded. While this case went cold, it is no fault of theirs. It has nothing to do with their desire or their investigative skill. What we did today is based off what they did then. And we have several here. Would you please stand? These are the two that could come. We have several that are watching live streamed. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize the current agents at GBI Region 4. Specifically, step up, Special Agent Alex Julian. This is the agent that was assigned this case several years ago, did another in-depth review, worked with Sheriff Cole to then develop a game plan, followed that game plan, and got us here today. And the agents that you see standing next to him, as well as an intelligence analyst, supported the entire time. This case was a constant lunch table conversation of investigative ideas of how to proceed. This group has done tremendous work. This is not the first major cold case they have solved. and I don't think it's going to be the last. Great job. To the Coffee County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Cole and prior Sheriff Doyle Wooten were a hammer about the Worrell case. I believe it was even Sheriff Wooten who first said, let's go to Costa Rica. And Sheriff Cole has driven this bus to say, let's go, let's go, let's go. And we continue to work through it. Working with the Coffee County Sheriff's Office has been outstanding. We appreciate the cooperation. We appreciate the trust, because it takes a lot of trust to work these cases together. Sheriff Cole already mentioned out-of-state law enforcement that assisted. The law enforcement in Missouri that Sheriff referenced were phenomenal. From the first phone call, they started surveillance. They started running record searches. They started giving us the information we needed, and without that, we could not have done what we did. The initial arrest was also done without incident, all because of their work to prepare for us to get there. The quick extradition was done because of the work they prepared to do before we got there. So thank you. Now, cold case processes. How do we work these? How do we become successful? What are the challenges? The challenges are the current cases that we work. While there can be an idea that there's a lot of cold cases out there, when you look at the percentages, we solve almost all of our cases within the first week. Yes, occasionally there's a cold case, and we continue to work those. These agents, the investigators, they carve out time, even though they're missing birthdays, they're missing holidays, they're missing important events being called out to current cases, they still carve out time to find a way to chase down these offenders in these cold cases and bring justice to the families. So one final note. To the families of victims in other cold cases, let this give you hope that the answers you seek are still being sought. To the offenders in other cold cases, let this bring you fear, sleepless nights, knowing we will not stop looking for you. And to the communities we serve, let this bring you pride and confidence that these cases are never forgotten and continue to be investigated. There is still hope for justice. Thank you. So now we'll take questions. Yes, ma'am.
So, who actually killed Doris? Did John indeed hire the two men previously charged? And are you trying to expand suspects?
So the question was, who actually killed Doris, and did the men we previously charged commit it, and are we still looking for additional suspects?
Yeah.
So I can't speak to an active investigative acts. Of course, I mentioned earlier, John instigated a conspiracy to commit this murder. And yes, we know John was not there. However, there were two other individuals charged, one of which has since died from medical causes, and one of which has just recently been released from prison, who was initially cooperative with us. We are continuing to investigate and hope that we continue to get cooperation. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, has John or his family made any statements since his arrest? And also to, just to be clear, as far as the relationship between John and Manny, were they ever married? Like, what's their current relationship and where is she now?
So the question was, has John or his family ever made a statement regarding this arrest? And was John and Paula ever married?
Yeah.
Right? So to my knowledge, John or his family has not made a statement recently. I wasn't here when the incident actually occurred, so I'm not sure if there was one made at the time. John and Paula were not married while they were in Costa Rica, as best we can tell. Yes, ma'am.
Has John always been a person of interest?
I can't tell you from like the very beginning, because I wasn't there. We'd have to talk to initial investigators. It's my understanding that it was initially thought to be a robbery and possible retaliation, and there was some period of time before John became a suspect or became a person of interest, but I can't tell you the time frame on that.
Is it possible we can get the names of the other two suspects that were arrested?
I mentioned them earlier. Yeah, Glidden Rodriguez and Brandon Cage. Yes, ma'am.
Did John and Paula have children together?
The question was, did John and Paula have children together? Not to our knowledge, no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What is your theory
I'm going to refrain from providing theories or hypotheticals at this point. We are investigating. These are motives and things that have occurred that we will discuss with the district attorney's office as we prepare for prosecution.
Okay, well then, is Paula a person of interest or a suspect?
So I'm trying to repeat the question. So is Paula a person of interest or a suspect? Paula has cooperated and has provided us information, and in our mind, she is not a suspect. Yes, ma'am.
So do you know where Paula is? Is she still in Costa Rica?
So the question was, do I know where Paula is and is she still in Costa Rica? I do know where Paula is, but I cannot comment as to her whereabouts at this time.
And have you all been in contact with the children since the arrest?
So the question was, have we been in contact with the children since the arrest? We did make contact with 2 of the children who were present when the arrest occurred. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What do you believe John Worrell's motive was?
The question was what we believe John Worrell's motive was. We believe there were several, one of which I discussed earlier, which was a divorce in a divorce he would likely lose his kids. There are other motives, but I'd prefer to hold those back until they're presented in a prosecution. Yes, ma'am.
Are you all aware if John committed other crimes prior to the murder of Doris?
The question is whether we're aware of other crimes that John may have committed prior to Doris's murder. We've heard of some, but I can't comment on prior criminal history or anything else there. Yes, ma'am.
Was John's arrest based solely off of Paula's testimony?
So the question was John's arrest based solely off Paula's testimony or her cooperation. As I referenced earlier, there were investigative acts that were being done over the years relentlessly. And part of those acts provided new information. Part of those acts confirmed or corroborated information that we had learned over the years. That information combined with Paula's cooperation is what led to this arrest. Yes, ma'am.
Was Paula given immunity?
The question was Paula given immunity. I can't comment as to Paula's involvement or how the cooperation occurred at this time. Yes, ma'am.
In earlier reports of the case, a murder weapon was never retrieved. Were you all able to, are you getting close to that, or was it ever retrieved in this time?
Yeah, so the question is the firearm that was used in the murder, if we were able to recover it. I can't speak to physical evidence at this time. That will all be presented during the prosecution. Yes, ma'am.
Ever since John has been arrested, has he made any statements or pleaded innocence, or is he cooperating?
The question is, has John cooperated or provided any statements since his arrest? John has not provided a statement since his arrest. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any pending court dates moving forward, and what's the next steps in the legal process?
So the question is there any pending court dates scheduled, and what's the next step in the process? There are no court dates to my knowledge set. He just made it back to Coffee County last night, late last night at that. And so there's been nothing that I know that's been added to the court calendar. As far as upcoming or any other upcoming court procedures, really the next step is for us to get a case filed to the district attorney's office so that we can present it to a grand jury. Any other questions?
If we could get a recap of the charges that he'll be facing in this case.
Okay, he asked for a recap of the charges. Those charges are, John has been charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, and conspiracy to commit murder. Anything else?
To speak on your question that you asked a while ago, he did have a first appearance,
Sorry.
hearing this morning where he was denied bond.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. There will be additional information, I believe, going out with a press release with more of the information that was covered during this news conference. And I believe that a booking photo is now available from the Coffee County Jail should you be interested. So thank you.